That's good. Yeah, just click on after the wizard is installed, just click on install. I'm not gonna click it because I already have it, but yeah, just click on install. If it ever asks for a checkbox on add to path, which it shouldn't, but if it does, all make sure to click mark that, or else we'll have to add it to path manually later. Alright. So let's start with what is it, first of all. And maybe some of you are already familiar with it. Does anyone have any idea what Git is? Have ever used it, ever heard about it? Any clue? Any takers? No?
We upload programs.
Huh?
So you upload programs.
That is GitHub. So GitHub is like a cloud storage for Git. And it offers many more functions within that, but that is GitHub. Git in itself is the technology. So by the way, like just a fun fact, Linus Torvalds, while he was making Linux, he just made Git on the side as a side project for him so that it's easier for him to develop Linux. So really cool, and now it's an industry standard tool that everyone uses. It's open source and it's a really cool tool, and you'll use it any point of your time during an internship, during your job. If you ever do a software or software adjacent job, there is a good chance that it will use Git. And it's not taught in the curriculum here, so it's good to know. It's good to have an idea. And then most of the part, like everyone uses Git a little bit differently at their organization, so you just pick up on it as in how you start working. So a Git is a distributed version control system. So version control is like tracking your changes, how your file moves along and changes along with time. So that helps developer track and manage changes in their code over time. Let me increase the zoom so it's readable a little bit. It takes a picture of what your files look like at any given point, and it stores a reference to that snapshot. In order to save memory, if a file hasn't changed, it just refers to a snapshot of the last commit. I'll get into commit later, but basically to save memory, it's not going to save another snapshot of the same file. It's going to refer back to the previous version of that file. And it takes about its data as a stream of snapshots of your files and how those files change. And it's a little bit different according to other version control systems where they change how your file changes. This one in Git in general stores it as a stream of snapshots. Just keep that in mind as we move on, and we'll come back and reference this if it's needed. So almost all professional code is managed by some version control system, and Git is the most common. We're gonna throw around some terminology around here, so it's good to have that in our mind before we move on. So some of these terminologies are terms to know are repository or repo in short. A repository is kind of just like a folder that is being tracked by Git. Now, a folder can have multiple directories inside it, multiple files inside it, but if we say this parent folder is being tracked by Git, that's our repository, everything underneath it will be part of our repository. Now, that repository can be just local on your computer, you're tracking your changes as you go, or it's on software called GitHub or another software by Atlassian. There's a bunch of softwares out there that provide cloud storage for Git, but pretty much being either local or on the cloud, but it is called a repository either way. Now, a working directory is just the directory that you're on right now. Let's say you're in a subfolder, and then in that subfolder you're making some changes. So that subfolder is your working directory at the moment. So we'll use that working directory terminology to say, hey, go to this, to whatever your working directory is. So like that's the directory where all your files, you just change your files and then we'll do something with it. Now, commit. A commit is a snapshot of your repository at a specific point of time. And includes all staged changes. So we're gonna get into staged and what that means right after this, but basically a commit is a snapshot at a specific point of time. Now, that's why in order to understand commit more, we need to get into three states. So Git has three states in which your files can be at any given point of time. The first is modified. So you just modify your file and it would be in the modified states. But you didn't commit it to your database yet. Database meaning Git, you can also think of it as a database of commits, a database of snapshots, and so that it stores all your data of how your folder has repository has changed as we move on. So the modified part means you change the file, but you haven't added that change to your database yet. If you ever add stuff to your database, that means you can always revert back to it, but we haven't done that yet. Next is stage. Now stage means, so if you made a bunch of changes everywhere, and then now you want to split that up because logically they're divided into a few different parts, let's say. So stage means you have marked the modified file. So this file, I'm gonna say that there's like file one, file two, and file three. So I'm gonna mark file one and file two, and I'm gonna stage them so that these can go into my next commit. And my commit is gonna be obviously saved to the database so that I can refer back to it whenever I need. So we have modified where a file has been changed. We have staged where we're marking this file to be part of the next commit. We haven't committed it yet, but we will in a second. And committed means that the data is safely stored in my local database, local Git database. Usually you won't find people referring to Git as a database. It's just good to have that understanding going on right now. That's all. So here's like, we have our working directory right here, and then a working directory is kind of like a checkout. I shouldn't go into checkout right now, but basically we're pulling a version of our project into the working directory. We're making some changes and we're staging that changes to the staging area. And from that staging area, whenever we commit, it goes to the database and now it's saved and we can refer back to it at any point. So next up, we have branches. Now, branches is also another terminology we're gonna be throwing around every now and then. And branches are like parallel versions of your project. And let's say you have one project, it's at a specific stage right now, and then now you and your friend, you're gonna work on two different parts, two different functionalities at the same time. So what you would do is you would branch off the main project and you would create your own branch. You would give it a name so that the main part of being this is try to think of it as a bigger project rather than just like you're working on it like a small school project. Try to think of it as like a bigger software, bigger application that, let's say, is used as at an organization. So we whenever the application is at its main project, like the main branch, it's called the main branch, is your most stable branch. And it's tested, it works as expected, so we wouldn't want to break it for no reason. So what we will do is we will branch off of that. We will use that stable version to branch off it, do some experimenting with it, try to add some functionality here and there. And then after we test it, only if it's good, we would put it, merge it back into the main branch. And now it would be part, that functionality that you just added is part of the main branch now. And we would only do that after we make sure it's stable, it's been tested, it's working as expected. Now, a pull request. So thinking of that same example where we branched off of the main most stable version of our application, we branched off it, we added some code, added a feature here or there, and then we would request those changes to be accepted into the main stable version of our project. Now, because again, think of it as a bigger, higher level software where inside your team, it's not just you, it's 5, 6 developers. There's a manager, there's a product manager, stuff like that. right? So you're requesting your team to take a look at it and accept your changes into the main branch. So a pull request is a way to propose changes from one branch to another, and it's a request to review, discuss, and possibly merge those changes. Ideally, in that environment, they would tell you that this doesn't look wrong, so you would fix it, and then after a lot of going back and forth, and that's when you would go ahead and merge. And merge is like the last part of that pull request where after it's been approved to be stable, that the code that you just added, functionality you just added is working as expected, then you would merge it to the main stable branch of the application. So now it's your feature is part of the stable branch now. So anyone working off of that main branch up ahead is gonna have that feature by default and he's gonna build on top. So these are some of the use cases, and pretty much we went over it, but I'm just gonna go over it real quick. So tracking file changes over time, right? That's obviously the most common example, common use case for Git, that you want to work off a stable version of your project, and its first line it says, have you ever been scared to work on your code? So you have something working, but then you want to modify it, but you also don't want to break it. So that the Git removes this challenge by, okay, you have this stable version inside your Git, it's committed. So now you can work off it, and then anytime you can always just go back. If whatever you added doesn't work, you go back, you have your old code ready to go. Usually people used to do this by how? You would create project one underscore working, and then you would create a copy of it, you would try to mess around with it, and then you would add a functionality, okay, that works, and then you would update it, so now you have multiple folders, maybe it's a big application, it's taking up space, right? So we wouldn't want to do that ideally. That's how we would track changes with Git. Working on different versions of your code at the same time, where again you're trying to add one feature, but at the same time you thought of this another feature. So you can work on two different features at the same time who are nowhere related to each other. And you can switch ahead in between both of those. Collaborating, right? That's why I said, think of it as a bigger project, because it's usually in the industry, it's never gonna be just you working on the project. So what if people wanna take your code, build on top of it, put it back into the project, and then you wanna use their code to build on top of that. So that's how it helps manage those changes. So you can say that I added this feature, and then another developer checked out the code and added this feature. So if there's ever a problem, you can also track back and see who introduced the problem, and then they can go ahead and fix it. Storing code remotely, that's the last part there. GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, there's a bunch of software out there, but that's a cloud storage for your projects. Instead of being just a folder on your computer that's being tracked by Git, because Git works locally, right? There's no problem with that. It works on your computer, and you just wouldn't. It's very difficult to collaborate with someone else on that. But you don't necessarily have to use GitHub. But that's for remote storage. So let's install Git on your computer. Looks like most of you have your laptops on, so that's good. Let's install Git. Did everyone download that executable? Okay.
What's the actual app called that we'd be opening?
Just the installer. So did you download something from that Git for Windows?
I think so. It didn't immediately open it when it was finished downloading.
It's just like an installer wizard. And then after you install it, there's no app. You just use your terminal to interact with it.
I've got
No
things that
UI.
were not here before.
Okay, so see, you
Are those
downloaded,
things?
yeah, you downloaded it. Now you could use Git bash, or you could use a terminal. So yeah, you can open that up. And then we could use some commands to interact with it. There's no UI for Git.
Okay.
There are other applications that provide, so instead of you having to type those commands, there's applications that would help you provide a UI for those commands, if that helps.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's download. So it should have been downloaded and you guys installed it too. We should be able to just write Git So the next part would be if it's installed correctly, you would go ahead and write git dash dash version in your, let's see, yeah, there it is. Yeah, git dash dash version, git space 2 hyphens version. If you write that, it should respond back with a version number. Might see a different number than that. That's no problem. As long as it responds with a version, we're good. We good with the version? Everyone shows up? Okay, oh, perfect. So next, we're gonna configure Git so that, well, don't type this right here. So we're gonna configure Git so that every commit you push out has your name and your email in there. And that's how you do it. You're gonna say git space config space dash dash global user dot name, and then space, you're gonna say your name. Now, your name, if you're gonna say first and last with a space in there, you'll need 2 apostrophes in covering that. So like this. So like this. And it would not say anything. Yes.
Question, like where does this get stored? Is it in our local system or online?
On your local system. Yeah, for the config, it gets stored in like the users, C users, and then your username, and there's a config file in there somewhere. So but the config gets stored over there.
You can control the config file.
Yeah, you can just edit the config file too, but initially you wouldn't even have one. So you would have to create it at the correct place, or else you can do it like this still.
So now when we run this, it is going to create in that th file.
No, that's a directory. So this is a directory, it's gonna store it after, it's somewhere in that directory. I can try to find it if you want, but yeah, it usually just writes to a config file so that every time you use Git, it's reading that config file, pulling the data. Yeah.
How do I know that what I've written actually went for how I wanted it to?
Yeah, so I think so if you remove the part where you actually set it, whoops. So remove your name, and then if you write just that git config space dash dash global user dot name, it would print out the name. That's how you can verify. It's a good question. So if you guys try that, it should say your name. That's how you know it worked. Usually terminal commands, if there's no error, it doesn't print anything. It only prints something if there is an error. And same way for your email as well. Gonna use the same.
You put a space between your first and last name?
You can. It really depends. Like it doesn't need to be a specific format. Whatever way you want it to be, some kind of, some like nickname, you can type that.
That's when I wanted to repeat back my name, but only first name.
Your first name. So that's what I was saying, that if you're gonna say user.name and then your name, it's just gonna read and then like this, right? It's just gonna read the first one. So that's why it needs to be enclosed in these double quotes. Yeah. So enclose it within double quotes and try that. If that's not working or you need any help, definitely let us know.
how do I erase them? Cause then it just gives me an error that I'm doing multiple values.
You're doing multiple values?
Well, right, cause I already put in the first one, which is not how I wanted it.
Right.
Now to reset it, I have to somehow get rid of the first one after that.
Let me see. Is there a set command? Let me see. It should not. This is it should just replace it. Is it saying, what's it saying? Let me see real quick.
Username has multiple values.
Oh. This is called a flag. Flag dash dash replace dash all.
Yeah.
So let's use that flag. Oh.
Okay. That means.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What were you pressing to copy the last one?
Up,
Okay.
up arrow. All right, do we have that down, username and email set for Git? Okay, perfect. Now, this is an optional step if you don't have a GitHub account. Create one. Don't necessarily need one. So if you don't want to, that's fine. You will need it some point in the future, but you can revisit that later too. So do people have GitHub accounts? Are you going to create one, or do you just want to work locally right now? Create one? Okay. So the details are right here. It's obviously just go to github.com, click on that sign up button, name, username, password, standard stuff. Oh. Are we good to proceed? Alright. So we're gonna sign in into that, well, you're gonna be signed in, but we're gonna go to that GitHub account that you just created, and we're gonna create a new repository. GitHub, and then it should have a plus icon on the top right. New repository, give it a name, mostly hello-world, just works for now. And then all the other part is optional. So feel free to just let it be. Just all the way at the bottom, create repository. All right, ready? Okay, so the next part is probably the most important, probably the most error prone part. We're gonna connect your GitHub account with your local Git for good. Like unless you wipe your computer clean, it's gonna stay that way. Usually we have a lot of problems with while connecting both of these. So my preferred way is to like set it up with SSH, and until and unless you change something with your computer, we're good. So Windows users, well, we don't have any Linux or Mac, so that's good. Windows users, open PowerShell and type this command.
I'm on Linux.
You're on Linux? Okay, that's fine. Linux is actually easier. It should be just running.
What is a repository?
A folder in which all your source code, like your application code lies. That's a repository.
Uh,
So when you type start service SSH agent, there's a good chance it won't work, and that's fine. What does it say when you type that? Is what? Not recognized? Okay. So that means the service needs to be, so close it and then open PowerShell as administrator. And we're gonna run a few commands where it says right here. And then try running those commands in that order. This is a pipe symbol. Pipe is the symbol right above your enter, well, at least on mine, your enter key, return key, enter key.
Is there space in between that, the rest of the stuff?
Yeah.
go down a level, do I just press enter and then type in the rest of the stuff, or am I?
No,
putting
just
this
run it in that order. So you would write the first one, hit enter. Does it say anything?
No.
Okay, that's good. Like I said, terminal, if it doesn't say anything, it's good. If there are any errors, let us know. So. Awesome. Watch out for uppercase. So, you can always. So, this is.
That's something. That look great.
Yes, status is running. So that's what we wanted to keep. It should say the service is running. So it's running. That's good.
Yeah.
When you're done running these commands, it should say status running for SSH agent. So, SSH agent in Windows sometimes, so it's usually set to automatic, so like it should start up. Automatically, but it didn't, right? Because when you typed it, it said, not recognized. So we had to set the startup to manual and then start it up manually by ourselves, because it didn't start automatically. That's what we did by these commands.
So. Should be manual. If you come back. Awesome. Then you're gonna paste it.
Alright, are we good to proceed? Everyone says status running?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for, it should say SSH agent running.
Yeah.
So, this is your. I'm gonna go to. Actually, wait, it's. Let me get this. Oh, my bad.
It is. Should be.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make.
Is that a school route?
I'm gonna make it.
Yes, so we close it out. Opening power shell. See, that's power shell. Power shell. Run and then.
So, I'm just gonna. There's some. So for. Oh, it is. So. This is how. That's why. What's that? So you already have. Yeah. So now you want to. Okay. So, oh, did you set up?
I set the.
Yeah, all right. So next up, we started the service, the SSH agent service. We're gonna use it to create a key pair. It's, the command is right here. And then after you hit that, it's gonna prompt you for a few stuff like password, file location. Just keep hitting enter. Password, if you wanna set it, you can set it, but then you've gotta remember it. And the file location, again, you can set it, but you would have to remember it. So just keep hitting enter, let it be default. The command is ssh-keygen space -t. Oops, not helping. ED 25519. That's the name of the algorithm. Good? Okay. So this is what it does. It creates a private key and a public key. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put put the public key in GitHub so that every time you push to GitHub, GitHub knows who you are. And we're gonna add the private key to our SSH agent. This is how you do it. It's kind of complicated, but it's not too bad. Not complicated. I mean, just typing part is a little bit. Or if you want, there's an easier way. I can show you the easier way too, where you don't have to type a lot of these. Okay, hit terminal. When you hit terminal, make sure it's open to see users and then your username. Are we on that terminal? If you keep using PowerShell as admin that you just used, that's at a different file location. So close that out, open a new terminal, just type CMD, like Windows CMD and enter. Or Windows plus R CMD. Just open up a command prompt that's open at this, see users, and then your username. Are we on there? Okay. Next up is gonna be the same command, but we would it's just easier to remove all of this part. So /.ssh/ID_ED 25519.
One says no such file or directory.
Okay. And we're on C users, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, this will show up. Yeah, that's all. I'm gonna show the keygen command.
Huh? Yeah.
Right.
So where is the keygen? Did you?
So that's all.
So, right. Yes. See what this thing.
I didn't.
Yeah, you finish the step, enter file, see where it's saving it, isn't that the same where we were trying to access,
Yes.
right? So hit enter, we don't need a password, done. Now, when you run that again. Done. Was anyone else having trouble too? So did you complete the step where we added a key? And then for that, it should ask, enter a file location, so keep hitting enter, you did it? Okay, well, let me see.
Was what? Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
So whatever. Associated with the.
Okay, that's what I was saying, so close this out and open a new terminal. So right there, yeah, and then And then there's a SSH dash add at the top. Like in the beginning. So, yes, so look at this one.
So. If you go to. I don't want to do this. Yeah.
Did it say identity added?
Since I'm reading.
Identity added.
Are we adding our keys to command prompt or custom?
It gets added to the SSH agent. So with that command, it gets added to the agent, to SSH itself. It doesn't matter what terminal we use.
What do you mean by agent? What is that?
It's like a program that manages everything SSH for you. So every time, like, there's authentication needs to be done or something, that's a program that manages all that.
Right.
It's like ships with Windows and stuff.
It's not saying no such.
No such file, okay.
It's just.
Same thing, okay.
Summary.
No, what I can do. That's a video. Those work for time, so some big movie. This is like.
Remove the first slash. That's not. So remove the first slash.
Oh, no.
Did that work? Did that work? Yeah, don't touch it. Alright, so moving on. The private key was added to our computer's SSH agent. Basically, it was added to our computer, right? The private key was. Now the public key, we're gonna print it to the terminal and we're gonna insert it in GitHub. Again, we're gonna do the same thing. So if you guys wanna, let me see, type, okay, all right. So if you hit the upper arrow on your terminal, it will show you the same command that you just used, which should have worked, by the way, right? So we're gonna put a .pub at the end. That's the public key. And at the beginning, change it to type. Or just type it again. But either way, we need this. For me, it's a different name, but right.
We're replacing SSH dot add with.
Dash with types, yes. And adding a .pub at the end. We want to grab the public key, not the private key.
Okay, just.
Did it print something?
Yes.
Saying I did it wrong, but
Huh?
saying I did it wrong.
Syntax and ground. Now we're gonna copy this. We're gonna copy this. We're gonna copy so it's gonna print an entire line of your public key with and so copy that entire line from the terminal. We're gonna grab that, we're gonna put it in our GitHub. All right, going back to github.com, we're gonna go into settings right here. Top right. Click on your icon and hit settings. We're gonna go down to SSH and GPG keys. We're gonna click on new SSH key. Give it a title, maybe like your laptop name or something, give it a title. And paste that line in key.
Just press add.
Yep. And now we go to the terminal and you go to SSH. You have right SSH. Not administrators at the party. SSH space dash capital space git at github.com.
Oh,
Successful. Yeah, so yes, so do you usually want to connect with what he does and we successfully authenticated, but the number does not provide child access. So so after we add that key over here, obviously click on add SSH key. It's not gonna, again, not gonna say much. But the important part is now if you go to your terminal back, this is how we're gonna make sure that connection works from our computer to GitHub is SSH dash capital T git at github.com. If you hit enter, the first time you connect, it's gonna say, oh, do you trust this host, blah, blah, blah. Hit YES, like type YES and hit enter. But it should say your username, you have successfully authenticated, but GitHub does not provide shell access. So that means you're connected. Yes. So that's the command right there. Did that work? Yeah.
how much more of this do we need?
I think that's it.
Uh, Is this everything?
Yeah, for configuration, yeah.
Okay. Cause I have a class to start.
Oh, okay. Shit. You guys got weird class timings, man, I swear.
They didn't let me put it
Friday.
in else every.
Friday, 4 p.m. Friday. You gotta be kidding me. Today's Friday. Might be a Monday, Wednesday class
Right.
only.
You're right, it is. All right.
Alright. Huh? Yeah. What did it say?
Come over here for a second.
That's the. You should
Oh, it's. Oh.
Dash eyes to it.
All right, we good to proceed, everyone configured, all good to go? All right. That's perfect. Cause this was the difficult part. Now, if we have get working, that's always easier to proceed. We tested the connection. We're gonna clone repository locally. Yes, so go to the on github.com, go to the repository that you guys created. It's gonna be somewhere on the left. It's gonna say your username slash hello world. Hello dash world or whatever name you gave it. As long as you can find it, that's good. Under code, we're gonna click on code. If you're on HTTPS, so if the address starts with HTTPS, we're gonna change it to SSH because we've configured SSH. And we're gonna click copy URL to clipboard.
It's the same thing. But click on code top left.
Oh, yeah, because it's like, because there's no files in there literally, that's why it's you. Yeah, click SSH right here. If you don't see that, there's a quick setup column row actually on your new repository. And it should say quick setup if you've done this kind of thing before, and it's on HTTPS probably, to switch it over to SSH and copy the address.
Get back to the question. Is that the same as the thing we copied and pasted for the key?
No,
Uh,
totally different thing. No, we're never gonna worry about keys ever again.
Okay, so is this a new thing you're going to give us, or is this something?
Yeah.
Oh,
So a repository is kind of like I said, a folder, right? So you created a folder on GitHub to put all your files, your code, not all, but a project's code files on there. And now we can get that folder locally, put whatever we need, and then push it back up so that we can see it here on GitHub. So if you copy, does everyone have that SSH URL? Okay, that's good. We're gonna go into the terminal. And don't open PowerShell, open command prompt or terminal. And write git clone and paste that URL.
or way to change the name of your thing,
Name of,
the repository.
no,
Whoops.
so when we do that, it's gonna create, oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, it might give you a warning, there's no files in there, but the point is it's gonna clone it into hello-world. So what it essentially did is if you go open your file explorer, right? And I'm gonna open up to where I saved it. You guys should open it up to probably like it's gonna say your name right here, right? So you're gonna find that hello-world folder in here somewhere. But I saved it in my documents. So it created a folder which has a .git, by the way. If you have hidden folders show setting enabled, then it should show it. If not, it's fine. But there will be a .git folder, which essentially stores all the information that, remember that database we were talking about? It's all stored somewhere in here. Never delete that, by the way, your .git. And then now if you create a file in here, right? And it's a text document that's called hello, and put your name in here. Huh. So create a file and a text file, give it any name, put some text in there. Or what we're gonna do is we wanna see that file on GitHub, that's our ultimate goal. So once that's done, if you type git status, oh, it should say untracked files.
Okay, so
Not a,
I made the text file or whatever inside the thing that you wanted me to do.
No.
So in here,
just put some,
just anything?
any text. So you wanna see this text on the GitHub, right? That's the thing.
Okay.
Save. And close. Now, oh, okay, so here we're gonna have the CDN or open that folder actually. So Windows 11, right? Nope. So not inside that, the ticket was what? Yeah. Where'd you see this dot git back, right?
I made it.
No.
No, don't make it. Oh,
No, to create your this PCC users. Is that you?
mhm.
And then in here. Where is the hello dash row? Did you clone it yet? Or no?
I did clone it. It wasn't English.
Clone into dot SSH. That's what you can do instead if you already get out.
That's the name. They're repository.
Oh, so this is. I guess this is. Oh.
Okay, looks like I might have skipped a few steps. But I mean, like not skipped, but like didn't make it exactly clear. So what we're essentially what we're gonna do is when you cloned, it should have made a folder. We're gonna add a file inside that folder. Are we on here yet? Is there a folder, hello world? And you don't know where it went? It probably went into .ssh. So there's two things. Either you can move that folder out or you can clone it again into a directory where you actually want it to be. So go, so go here. You probably put it right here. Let me show you. Inside your your C users and then your username, there's a .ssh folder, right? You see it? Do you see the .ssh folder? So hit enter. Is the hello world in there? No? You don't know where it went. Okay, that's fine. So close your terminal, close it, and open a new terminal. And when you open a new terminal, you should ideally see users, whatever, right? And run that command in there, git clone, and then the URL. All right, are we good? You guys fine now? No? So you do the same thing. Close it out, open a new terminal. And hit git clone and then the URL. If it says a folder already exists, that means it's already there.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the new. It's, I thought it was something. Five. It's just. So, for your problems.
alright, we're gonna move on in a second. Now in that folder, create a file. And now if you, so one of the neat things about Windows 11 is, let me see if I can find this real quick, documents. Oh, there we go. So that's your folder, right? If you right click somewhere outside, don't right click on the file, somewhere outside, it should say open in terminal. And if you hit get status, it's gonna say on branch main. There are no commits yet. And it's saying there's a file hello.txt, but that's an untracked file. Untracked meaning we have not tracked that file yet. We are not, we would want to, but we haven't done that yet. So the command to add that would be get add dot. Dot means the entire directory, or you can also say hello.txt, but I'm just saying the easier one would be get add dot. And it won't say anything, but if you say get status, it should say changes to be committed. All right, try that real quick.
Oh, that's what. Yeah. Literally, as soon as you make.
Okay, no, that's fine, let's see. You just want, right?
So it's always.
Okay. So, there's no git folder, it should be your this PC.
One last one.
User, sorry. Which one are you? This one there. And right here, I should have a, what, did it call it first ever?
There's the times it says something.
So right, so create just a
Where you want to
text
set
box,
an asset.
you know,
And then.
let's go.
Go through. There you go. And that's exactly what I was doing.
You can put some text or any text. Our goal is to see that file.
So now that connection is.
Yeah, after you put some text in and say. Yeah. So I don't.
Oh, like,
Yeah, inside the folder, or you can use that jack folder. And
Well,
stuff
when
like
you say
that.
where it's on, it's like,
Yeah,
whatever.
and now if you, so go.
Now there's like a.
Right click here. No, don't go back.
I don't know.
I've only ever used it.
Right.
Now you hit get stats. Get.
So I just. Whichever one you have.
Doesn't. Yeah.
Or you.
But, oh, no, don't like that. It needs to open in this.
No. You would go, it was in your. Yeah, so you would just.
So now follow that. It's called get add dot,
So now you're gonna.
get add space dot. So it will say changes to be committed is that file. So you'll add that file.
You escape, so you're in. Yeah.
Huh?
You're in.
Yeah, so right click, so go back to that folder.
So it's gonna save
Right.
and close.
So they try to save it, decided that something else, it's.
Now, yeah, it opens the terminal and your folder. Yeah.
So this, it's synced here. So. Yeah. it's really right, so- Yeah.
Guys, are we good to proceed? Okay.
Yeah, so it's a. But here's. Yeah, so you would run these names. Yeah.
So the next command we're gonna try is the commit command. Right? Last time it said changes to be committed. So it basically, the file was staged to be committed. Remember the 3 stages we were at? So it was in the staged phase. So now we want to push it, as in we want to commit the file. So it's gonna, the command for that is git commit -m. And then within apostrophes, you can put a message. That message could be anything.
Sure.
Wait,
Usually there's a format, but like, that's how that would work.
I'm a little behind, so,
You just have.
Again.
just trying to get it.
Yeah. It'll say open the terminal.
Don't use any other terminal, use it here.
So you're gonna look, you're gonna close that.
Yeah,
So ideally,
Use it right here.
okay.
always.
Okay, add
Yeah, even if it's.
Oh, it's add dot.
Just say like.
add space dot.
Line from this here.
Dot means
Might as well.
Okay, and then I say,
And
Especially if it's a.
now you can,
If it's a bigger file.
or you can check the status
So.
with git status, but changes to be committed. And then you can try to commit.
people, I try the what command?
This.
And what does that do?
It commits that file to be added to the Git database. So that you can always revert back to this version of that file. Remember the 3 stages?
That's sorta, I don't entirely know what they.
Commit means kind of like save it for good.
Okay.
Save that version of the file.
It says that,
I used to attract that.
what file am I
And then
adding?
also like.
So when you click dot means everything in this folder. So indirectly, you added that text file that you just created.
And then I close my tab.
What am I creating?
Yeah, or
So
like.
that's
This is a syntax.
The text file.
Like,
Do I
never
know,
like.
tell them the name of that file inside of the current?
Where, when committing or when committing, all of the files that you just added with the add command, all of those go out and you don't need to specify again.
So when you say git command dot space -m space, quotes, add first file, what am I putting in that add first file?
Add any, a message.
That's just basically, if you look at GitHub, that's like, if you can say like, why you're making this commit, added this feature, or did this thing.
So what am I naming a file?
No, so basically, when you see git commit, you're saying, hey, I wanna add this, you know, anything on stage, I'm gonna push through my repo. And you're saying the message for this thing is this, like when you look at their history, you can see the message of all your commits. So it's just like an informational documentation that says, hey, this is why I did this. Make sense? So this is just, it's not, had nothing to do with your code, it's just basically a log entry of why I do this.
So am I just adding this, am I just having hello world just like into that text file?
So, yeah, so the text file is, it's code or it's a message, it's a file in your repo. When you do the git add, you're saying, okay, when I commit, this is gonna be one of the files commit. So let's say I change 3 files. You commit those 3 files, so when you git add those 3 files, those 3 files will be what's committed.
Okay, so did I just create a new file? No, I already asked that. I'm just very confused with all of this. If there was
Yeah, so basically, so the hello world is just kind of simulating whatever code you've written in this version. So you've done some, 10 minutes of work, 20 minutes of work, whatever. Then you've created the file, hello world, or whatever you called it, and it has whatever text it has. And then when you say git add that file, you're saying, okay, take that file that you created and add it to the next commit. So then when you do your commit, you're basically saving it. Makes sense, not at all, a little bit.
a little bit.
Yeah, so. So like looking at your, like, let's say you're drawing a blank on the name for it, but like, someone's dictating you, just typing what they're saying.
Okay.
So basically that process of doing things is like getting a list of what you're gonna type. And then when you do the add, you go do the typing. When you do the commit, you do the same.
Okay, so if I,
Feature slash.
if I want to get back everything I just committed,
Mhm.
what do I type? Just to test this theory, so,
You'll get back me on show.
meaning,
Like, let's say you.
look at all the things I just committed, so I can see all that coding. assuming
I
that
don't
I-
remember off the top of my head, like, on the command line, but after, so right now you've done it locally, I assume we're going to push next.
Yeah.
So that'll save it on the server, and you can see the history on the server after you've done the push. And if you wanted to go back, like, get a previous version, like, let's say you make other changes, like, oh, this is the mess up, I wanna go back, then you can do, pull.
Can actually like.
A reset might do it, yeah, to a specific version, like, yeah, I have not used Git reset myself, but. Well, usually if I'm going back, I'm like going back like 3 versions, I've never gone back 1 version before.
Right.
And then you do, I've used multiple version controls, I can't remember specifically which one, like, all basic concepts with different ones. But basically, you're gonna pull, say, I wanna revert to a specific command.
So. What I'm doing here is naming a save.
Essentially, yeah, you're putting like a tag that means something else.
It's like, you played older video, right,
Yeah.
like on a PC,
Yeah,
you know, when you make a save, you have to name that save.
yeah, basically.
Is that what this is?
Dude, we're gonna post.
Almost, like,
Almost.
white,
To our
but
Git-
pretty much-
to our GitHub, so we can actually see it.
like, if you go to this, like, if you go to a, like, trying to think off the top of my head, like, just any random, like, Git repo, like, GitHub is a random repo, you can see, like, commit message, like, you'll see the list of commits, and they'll show the message for each commit, so basically, it's a log that says, like, I can't remember, like, commit 1, 2, 3, 8, 6, 7, 5, we're gonna add this week, you're not gonna remember that. But you look at this and say, oh, this is commit where I added that thing, oh, the version is this, so if I wanna go back to the version, then you take that version. So basically, it's just like it's like, kind of like you're saying, it's not a save file, but it's
That makes sense.
a name
Like,
is
it's something you can
refer to it.
Now it sounds like I'm creating
Well, I mean,
inside of Git.
every time you do something, I mean, there's files all over the place.
Right, but this is a file containing what I've already written that I can open again and take out that stuff.
Yeah.
So once it's committed,
Okay, so basically,
once
it's like
it's
making
committed,
not a
we can use
file,
this
it's
command
making like
to
saying that
push
you give the save file.
our
name.
changes to
Instead of
GitHub.
save file name, it's just
So
like
once
a
you
control
use
tab.
that, we test that.
I feel like-
quickly.
But it allows me to see all of the code that I've just written.
Yeah, like if you then click like on that
Yeah.
message, you can see I want the version from that.
The third one.
Obviously, I don't know how to do that, but I know what you mean.
So it shows my full.
Git push space -u
Wait, that's pretty much.
space origin main.
And then I think. So. Yeah. It's very confusing how I feel about it, would be able to merge, like we just.
Yeah.
I was.
If I was like, or something with a company, like a higher up, company, where do exactly. There's a like.
Said it failed to push.
Yeah.
Like you was, imagine that this is.
Yeah.
And your time ups. You would have, did you send email or you send your changes from?
I just put in.
It would be.
It's
So it would be.
Unbelievable.
That would review the. So here, like here.
290.
Push this, bunch of personal.
Obo,
Click.
OBO, AIM.
Write a message.
There should be whatever email.
ELF. This is not what I used for GitHub, by the way.
Send that in, and then.
I use this.
Students. Okay.
299.
So eventually someone will review it.
It should be the one you use for
It's
GitHub, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it should be whatever you use to register the GitHub account, it should be that email.
so wouldn't it be, for school, wouldn't it be like the D dot, like the name dot? Rather
Right,
than
and
the
there's,
CSU
well,
ID?
it'd be what, it should be whatever email he registered with.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's then what email did you use to register?
He used school, so for
Okay.
school, would we use a CSU ID or would we use?
Both work, but you probably want to use the same one you use to do the registration, like,
Okay.
you get two email addresses, basically.
Right.
So here's the weird thing that I don't know how the email works. I think when I made this, I put in my ID number.
Okay.
And then the rest of this, but I did not put in blanks. However, it still sent it to this
Yeah.
email.
That should be fine.
So-
Do I need to put in, what's the purpose of that?
I mean, they do like, Vikes are current students. So I don't know what they do for CSU email here, it's a mess, but. Yeah, you're, like, if you send it to your ID at. It should work, when you log into the system, I think you need to include the Vikes.
Okay.
But it should still work, although personally, I don't necessarily recommend, like. I would recommend using like the name version, just because like if you're doing like a resume or something.
I don't even, I believe it is the name.
You can get it from your, like, you look at your profile in Outlook, it should show you, like, the reason I recommend, like. Two reasons, one, like, if you give it to like an employer or something, here's my email, they're not gonna remember 2987, yeah, like.
Right.
Your name much easier. Second, as someone else pointed out, like, if you're typing the ID address or your ID number in and you off by one. Odds are that someone else, like, that probably will go to someone,
Okay, yeah.
don't know who, but they'll probably go somewhere.
Okay, so I
Probably
can
don't
figure
want
that.
Yeah, so if you go to Outlook, it should show, like, when you click, like, if you highlight, don't click, that's like a pop-up thing. Like more info in there, it should show the name thing.
This is just on the student,
Like, you know, like mail.csu.edu,
uh,
like the web portal.
Yeah.
As for what you were asking before. So like, this is just the, your repo from an open source game. If you go to the list of commits, like, there's all the commits that.
So if you open up your GitHub, by the way,
It'll show.
that file is gonna come up. And it's gonna, this is your commit message that you put, whatever the commit message was. It's gonna say the time, and that file, it's gonna come up.
You can see like, here's the change, like, remove that one and added that one. It's like that for that version of the code.
oh, okay. Oh, I see.
And then if you want to see like the full code in that state, you can get there from here as well.
Okay.
So basically-
Did that show up for you guys?
So like.
The commit, the file, what you put in that file?
37302, but you remember commit, I had it just the other. So, you click it, easy to find that in that list, click it, and now you can see the code related to that. Okay, makes sense?
Yeah. What did you, do to fix this?
You didn't commit. There was no commit to push.
I did, I put in,
No, we did touch that.
Maybe you
Yeah.
just didn't hit enter, maybe.
oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't hit dash M? No, I did.
So open up your GitHub, by the way, the commit will be there in GitHub. So now that we know how to do this, let's look at a few examples of a little more complicated use cases where we would use Git, right? So this is what we just did. We created and we committed a file. So we would have like a main branch. Let's go to branches actually. This is a good time to talk about branches. So you see how it said main? So at a bunch of places you should say main. So main is like the default branch on GitHub. Now you can create a new branch on GitHub, which is sourced off of main. And that tracks at that whatever time. So let's say right now you made a new branch. So that will point to the main that it's right now. Now, if someone else changes main at that time, your branch will not reflect that. So essentially what you just got is you got a version of your code that you know works. You can keep working on it and you can merge it back in. Now, let me show you like a image. Yeah. Image. So it would be like this, right? There's a master branch. Master basically means it depends on the project. Most usually master means the most stable version of your project. So that master branch, it moves on independently. Anyone could do any changes to master, but you created a branch off of the master branch, and let's say you call it your work. So you're gonna make a few commits, right? Commits means just anytime you make a change, you commit. That's for like anytime you make a useful change or a meaningful change, you commit. So this a dot represents a commit. You committed 3 times. And now your master branch is left back up here, and then it had some changes of its own. So when this collapses inside the master, this commit represents all your work that you did, plus how the master branch changed. And at the same time, someone also made a branch off of someone else, made a branch off of master here, and it merges back in. So it's like master is like a linear flow. Everyone branches off, comes back in, branches off, comes back in. The branches off meaning you're doing your experiments on there, and then if that's good, you push it inside. If it's not good, let's say right here, they try to merge in. And the other developers, the other team, they pointed out some problems. So he made more changes. He committed those changes into this third one, and then the request was accepted to merge, so they merged it with me. So this is how like the project flow would look like. Yes.
What if someone else's work does something that interferes with your work, but they started it in a version before you added?
Yes, so that's a good question. That's called a merge conflict. Merge conflict basically means right here, let's say this commit and this commit change the same file, the same exact line on the same file. So what it's gonna do is when you try to merge here, it's gonna say error. I have an example of this. Let me show you. It's gonna say this right here. So it Git always tries to auto merge it. If you ever want it to merge, it tries to automatically merge it if there's no conflicting changes. But if there is, it says merge conflict in hello.txt, automatic merge failed, fix the conflicts and commit the result. Essentially, what happens at that time is it's telling you I cannot merge this automatically because it's changing the same exact, two changes to the same line. Now, Git doesn't know which one you want to do, right? And it doesn't have a feature like whoever came first or whoever came later, that's the accepted version. So essentially, it asks you, there's a UI, like Git has a UI for it and stuff, but essentially it's asking you right here that this is head, this is the incoming, so this is the existing line, this is the incoming line. Which one do you want to select? It's essentially asking you that. So there's ways to resolve a merge conflict, but essentially in any merge conflict, you're basically picking one of the two that's causing the conflict. So you're picking one of those. That's how that works. Going back to branches. There's commands, by the way, it's for the workshop was supposed to end at 4:30 scheduled time. It's 4:40, so if someone needs to leave, I do understand. We're just gonna grab the important concepts here. And so this is how you would create a branch. It's called get checkout -b user, and then whatever that slash, don't worry about the slash. Basically, it's give it a name. The slash is part of the name, so you could give it any name, but it's git checkout dash B and then the branch name. Now, when you execute that command, whatever branch you're on, or whatever version of your project you're on, that's when that branch is gonna be created. So again, that's the same thing where main can move on without you, and you're up here, you're doing your own flow, and then you can merge back into main. That's how that will work. And and then we covered merging branches, right? So merging basically means when you branched off from master after you're done and you've tested these changes right here in the blue, you would merge back into main. Main master. Earlier it used to be called master, which is why this image is master, but then they changed the default name to main. There's after that we have remotes, we have merging brands. This is a pull request. Yes, a pull request is also a nice something to see. So look, let me show you real quick how a pull request would look like. So let's say right now I'm on my, I just made my first commit, right? So if I created a new branch that's called new dash branch, and then in that new dash branch, I would go and I would change this file to be called I am on the new, if I can type, branch. And if I would save it, and then if I hit git status, it's gonna say, yo, you changed the model, you changed the file. So I would add it again. Once it's staged, you commit. Git commit. First commit on new branch. Let's call it whatever message we want to put, meaningful message we can put on here. So now when I hit git status, it says on branch, new branch, nothing to commit, whatever. Now, if I check, let me git push. Now I'll push the first time we pushed main. Now we're gonna push this newer branch. The moment we do that, and let me open GitHub real quick. So first of all, look how it created a new dash branch. So what I just did on my terminal, when I pushed, actually it was the second command where I did dash dash set upstream origin new branch. We learn about that a little bit later. But origin means GitHub. Origin means like the GitHub URL and everything that you used to set it up. Origin means that. The reason we didn't need to set up like give it that URL for GitHub is because we cloned it. So when we cloned it, it has that link for the GitHub from over there. So origin means represents the GitHub because on your you're on your folder, right? You're just writing some commands on your computer. So origin refers to like the cloud storage on GitHub. So every time you say git push to origin, so it's saying git push to origin GitHub, and where on GitHub it's saying new dash branch. So push it on new dash branch. And then when you open it over here, you'll see, look, a new branch, new dash branch, and then git will also tell you git new branch had recent pushes. Do you want to compare and pull request? So when you click that git, this is what git is. Essentially it provides a UI for everything version control related. So see, it will show you what the difference was. So it's saying you removed a line, you added a line, you added another line. And it's saying I'm on the new branch. And then you can create a pull request. A pull request is just that, a request. It didn't just merge it, it just requests it so other people on your team can see that. So now if I was another developer that I'm checking someone else's code, I would go to the pull request and then I would say, okay, so this guy wants to push his changes into main. So let me check out the commits, what he did. and then I can check out the commits, what code he wrote essentially. And then if there's any problem with it, I can put it in the comments here that changes are required. Whoops, comments here that changes are, this is how like development is done within in an actual environment, right? So they'll put in changes required and it will say modify. They'll give detailed descriptions of what changes are required, why they're required, what the problem is, blah, blah, blah. And they would put a comment, you would create, so you would change your file, you would commit that file again, and then essentially at the end, someone will say, by the way, if the change is that bad, you can say close with comment, meaning close this pull request. We're not gonna merge it because the code is not good, not up to date. It's not required to merge it. Or you can click right here and it's gonna merge the pull request. And click right here and it will confirm the merge. Merging can also be done from the command line. GitHub provides a UI for it. When it's done, it says pull request merged and closed, and the new branch can be deleted safely. Why can the branch be deleted? The branch can be deleted because, let me see. What it does is right here, referring back to this. Now this commit right here, so let's say you made some changes, you pushed it back in and it was accepted, so that's why it's merged on the master branch. Now this represents this and this branch at the same time. There's two parent branches. So you can safely delete this because all the changes here, it's being reflected, all the changes that you made are being reflected in this commit. There's different merging strategies. We're not gonna get into that because it doesn't make sense until you have a really good understanding of development and branches and stuff. But essentially what this means is this commit represents your changes. So we can delete this. So we can delete the branch that we created. That branch, when you delete the branch, doesn't mean delete the commits too. It just deletes the branch. The commits are still there. And one last thing is we want to cover, does anyone use VS Code here? So VS Code has good UI for doing all this stuff. So all the commands that we wrote and stuff, if you ever open your folder with VS Code, and there's a source control, right? Trust the authors, yeah. There's a source control in VS Code window, where it's saying scanning folder for Git repositories. It just takes a second usually. But when you do that, VS Code has additional functionality where now if you make a change here, by the way, you see that green symbol, added lines. So I am adding a line or whatever. And now if you do that, see a lot of stuff changed. It's saying that file has been modified, first of all. That's why that's what the M represents. Now you remember the add and the commit part. Now VS Code makes this easy by first, there's a bunch of options here, but let's just cover the basic one first. It's called stage changes plus. So git add dot, remember that? This is what when you click this is what that does. It just went into stage changes. Now, the reason I like to use those commands first is because it's nice to know the UI. It's better to know the commands. It's better to know what actually goes on behind that UI. It's not, all it does when you click that plus button is basically it's saying git add this file that you just click the plus button on. And then when you're ready to commit, you can type in a message here, and I am making this commit from VS Code. Well, no, actually commit from VS Code. And when you click on commit right here, it committed without you ever having to type a command. But you know what goes on behind the scenes. And when you click on sync changes, that's git push. The same command that we use, git push -u origin main, that's that command. So now if you go to the GitHub, the commit from VS Code will show up here. Not on main, it will show up on new branch. Commit from VS Code. So it's good to use it's good to use VS Code. It's an open source software. It has a bunch of extensions that make your work easier, and it supports Git right from within. So it's good to use Git, VS Code with Git. It makes using Git easier. Let me see if there's anything I left to cover, or else we should be good to go. Yes, there's just a few, yeah, last like few minutes just. There's a bunch of best practices that developers use when using Git is commit often, make small frequent changes to capture your progress. So like, let's say, again, if you have had a project and you had a big file, like you had a bunch of files and you were making changes to those files, you wouldn't accumulate all those changes and then push them as one commit. Because guess what? When you need to revert back, you revert back to a specific commit. Now, you can't track where your code went wrong if it's all bundled up. If it's a bundle, you don't know where the problem is, right? So every time you make a meaningful change, commit. And that's how VS Code would make it easier for you, right? It's easy to commit. And give it a small name that I added this function, so when that function inevitably fails down the line, you can revert back to that specific version. Rather than having to go back to that bundle and trying to find the problem, or where exactly you should commit it back to. Write clear commit messages. Obviously, so that when you refer back to it, which you will, trust me, or someone else will, because they're trying to understand what this spaghetti is that you wrote. When you're trying to, you try to understand what spaghetti other person wrote. So that commit message makes it really helpful why they wrote what they wrote. There's also use branches, obviously never work on the master branch, because every time you're committing, you're pushing. If you're working on master branch, that changes the master branch. And usually within an organization, master branch represents this most stable branch. So anyone would branch off of that. So does it make sense for you to branch off of someone else's broken code? No. It makes more sense to branch off a stable application so that you know what to expect. And someone else can work on their unstable version. But as long as the master branch needs to be stable. Also, pull before you push. Pull before you push is essentially, so let's say someone else was working on their code and then their changes were accepted in May. Now you wanna integrate those changes before you start working, right? Because they probably changed the file that you wanted to. And their code is actually also right. Yours is probably maybe down the line, it will deem to be right. But then you're gonna face a merge conflict where you're gonna say, hey, this person pushed this code, this person pushed you, and you push this code. Which one do you want? And actually, we want both because both are good, right? So that's why you pull as in pull in all the recent changes. So make sure I'm updated before I write more code. So to prevent further problems down the line. And review your changes before committing. So use Git status and within VS Code too. So there's a tool, not a tool actually. One of the changes here was if you click on this, nope. Let's see. Okay, yeah, if you just click on the file, it shows you, it gives you this other UI, which essentially shows what within green, it will say what you added. And let's say if I remove this line real quick, so it will say, look, that you removed this line and you added this line. So that's like kind of like reviewing your changes before you commit. Keep your repository small. So if there's like data, or like lots of data, that would go in a database, that would not go within a CSV file on your GitHub repository. And use git ignore. Now, eventually, at some point, you're gonna use something that's gonna need a password, and you're not gonna, and you'll learn about this later. You don't just put in password in your code. Because your code, you might send it to you might send it to your partner for them to work on, or you push it to GitHub, and obviously it's bad to have a password, your password on GitHub, right? So you use, it's what is called an environment file, and you would never share that environment file. But essentially the point is you use an environment file to not push your code, your passwords to GitHub, and then you would use a git ignore. Git ignore tells Git that, hey, ignore this file. Don't track it, don't push it, don't do anything with it. So essentially, you're ignoring that environment file, you're ignoring your passwords file from being pushed onto the internet. And there's also like, if you ever use Java or C and stuff, it creates all these residual files that obviously don't mean much, they don't need to be pushed, so that's why get ignored with this.
Yeah.
That's all, thank you, thanks for coming. We are the Computer Peer Teachers Organization, if you ever need help with C, Java, Python, whatever your assignments are, we are here to help, just book a one-on-one, it's like 3 tutoring sessions.
Okay.
You find that on the CSU or the CSU website?
The
It's gonna be the first.
CPT, like the CPT, like.
Are you CPTs?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we are this, I am a CPT, all of us are CPTs,
So
and
just.
essentially
So basically.
we help tutor.
There's gonna be Jake.
We need a one.
There's a bunch of different. things.
Yeah.
Branches.
Yeah,
Use that to branch out.
yeah,
So real.
it's about like, the noise or whatever.
Yeah. So by default, your password is gonna be used on CSU. Just letter of the password.
The first letter.
For me, it would be 2821922, uppercase G,
Yeah,
because that's the first letter on my list. And you, which would be your ID. And then the first C, so uppercase C.
so I'll just put that in.
When you type it in, it will show you.
Yeah. Must be ever very.
Oh, no, you do have to. You're logged in, so. Oh, wait, no. Where did your?
So an API like this, that would be used for.
Oh, because it's something with your. Oh.
Polling, so you
So
don't
use the,
you
regular-
data
you
from
have
the
a,
data. That you would have to write it
Right.
there,
so this is,
but you, as you know, you wouldn't want.
Yeah.
So.
That's one API.
Can you put that one?
So an API should say, hey,
oh, content,
let me
so.
authenticate this solution.
Was it JA?
So like a API job post, so like if there's a job,
Easy to
and
remember.
you wanna access to it, right, we post a post represent by that. So if you wanna add that to your database, instead of writing SQL query, instead of first, so not only would you write a SQL query, I would also connect.
Oh, they're.
Anytime you allow someone.
This is your
to
link.
connect to the database, that's all.
So
So what if
here's
instead of
the
just
store.
adding that record, they do something else. So you can't trust them. So basically why you're to use the API. To abstract all that process, all you say is that you wanna add a job,
Well,
give me all of these details, so.
That's,
here,
yeah,
you
the
say,
first
yeah,
week or
give me
something.
all of the details,
Man.
I'll add the
They don't
job
teach you
for
how to
you.
use Linux. But they'll teach.
And it's also,
Okay.
programming is also
Remote
about
how you transfer
so you
files.
don't wanna know how they have the data.
So from here, you go into.
How they add this data, or you
There's a
care about
command to
the
list
data,
all
maybe
these
of this
shits, like,
data.
For example, you
needs
go
to be
to.
at
They're all named after.
Same, so instead of having a
So it's like.
Java post, there
Proper
must be
days.
Yeah. Both sides, show on
this,
whatever.
see, the API job.
Yeah, so they're all named
That's
after.
probably not fun with a type.
Yeah. Spirit that.
Yeah, post means post, so you're sending, you add it to the database, now you wanna check all the jobs, then you would use something like. Yes, you would use a get actually, yeah, you use a get, and in get, there must be something. Where you can get,
So now you're.
get this count or somewhere.
So
All
Braille,
APIs,
Braille is like.
implemented according to the.
And then from there.
So basically, there's a get in here
Where you never.
where you would then use that. So that's how you would write.
Do not run code on the. Because your teachers don't see your activity,
Okay.
at least for me, also backwards.
Yeah.
Mentioning 345.
Yeah.
Yes, you would let's say, you
might
would
be
be
in
sure
trouble.
using
I'm
a
sure.
password, right? All the other, either using password or maybe.
This memory is not gonna go.
I think somebody went to latch on 45, somebody
You could
uploaded.
say, hey, this guy is in
onto the server.
This guy even.
And it crashed.
So, is it, so, and you hear.
I don't know what
all
happened.
the things.
Because
But
all of
then
our,
you
all of our
use
science.
access to like this, like this.
So I guess somebody.
Saying that if it's, the.
And then like flash.
Don't get into. So you.
I don't know.
Like, internal server.
So yeah,
or
this is-
some
this
kind of
is-
like not for.
And then go back now, you just. Most of the world.
But yeah, you get some kind of error code, but then the same person, if you got
Although,
someone else,
one more
you
thing.
get, it would get.
Do this in your own
used,
timeline.
You get
What
accepted.
you can do is
So
you
that's
call
all.
super and then type S W.
Yeah.
PASSW. And that's gonna change your password.
Okay.
But by default, it's.
It's always, honestly, the most that
If I want
is
it.
on a job.
You could get into my.
I can get into
That
the
is
account.
cool, if
Custom
somebody
like
wants,
through.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see
never
your file.
understand
Just
the
work it out.
until you see
You
all
can
this.
distribute it.
Please don't.
I'm sorry.
This is called REST API.
Yeah, so when you're on your own time.
So,
Yeah.
and that's
That's
where
good.
you can install topic of programming that you should learn, just.
I think what they'll do is before
YouTube, REST
the semester
API,
starts, they.
and learn about that, then you learn about creating a REST API.
Which is what they do.
Using the REST API,
Yeah.
and then also.
So just be on, your files may go. So if you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been like a bit more.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I guess for reference.
I- the API version comes in.
Yeah.
I can just pull from my phone.
Cool.
It's-
I mean, it's pretty different hertz to look at. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is this Python?
It's
It's
maybe
it's
plasma
a-
based
it's
off-
called
Oh,
API,
okay.
REST
But I
API.
have,
Exactly.
so if I log out,
You Get, put, post, and.
I do,
Delete.
I don't know, do I go log out? So if I go up here, I do have a icon.
What,
have it
so
downloaded.
you need to, if you ever implement the API, you need to.
No, the thing is, I'll have it downloaded, so I don't have it set
That's
up.
how you need to return.
So,
okay.
Was there a successful, right? Cause if you ever do
like,
like.
I wanna set it up, but it's gonna take like a whole day.
What? Or post.
Yeah.
like
It's
you
not,
have to
yeah,
post. Do a
Just
post.
use, do what I
So,
just use no.
You need to tell them that, like,
Got
okay,
it.
yeah.
It was gonna be known or plasma,
It's
it's how to
set
try
for-
plasma,
no,
I really find a specific reason, so I'm not against
Yeah, look
trying
at the
it out.
APIs.
Well, I use that. That's.
And then create.
I mean, I don't-
an API
I literally
on your
looked
own
up like, hey,
form.
what this.
So if generation grows there, so it will help you.
I literally looked up what this source right now.
Can't do any of it.
So,
There's programming
so,
language
for them to
that-
say I
REST
read
API is pretty much a,
Yeah.
standard,
Actually.
so,
campus-
you know, the post, get whatever, and then I told you that you have to pass.
now I can work on
stuff, so all that is REST. It's like sort of standardized
Going through.
way it's, passing.
but like I said,
Could be anything.
you know, I mean,
JavaScript.
you know, get in there, I guess.
You wanna get in?
I wanted to get in there, so I got Arch.
So it's
It took, like I said, it took a lot longer than I'd like to admit. I got this.
Wow.
So it's not, I feel like the things for college that made it like crazy was really just like the end of it. But since they added bunch of stuff, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
that wasn't always.
yeah.
I tried to put, I was considering downloading in every video.
Yeah, I know.
And you have to literally.
But you don't run it anyway, but you don't run on the cloud.
Like it's cool, it's like, I feel like it's one of those things, if you know what you're doing, which I
Yeah, if you
don't.
know what you're doing.
I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Like I personally, I don't know what I'm doing, like I know how to use the terminal, but.
Yeah.
You can go crazy, you can make a USB, plug it into a computer, just install it.
that's what it's, that's, sorry, the main thing about Arch really just is that repository. Because, yeah, you just git clone everything,
So even if I
that's one of the big
want
things with git cloning.
I think.
So,
Yeah.
I was trying to download Spotify, but
So first,
I don't
the
know.
moment they
They
create
can never
the
be back.
project, I'm gonna open it.
Yeah, I mean, we
And then
just.
you terminal within.
Well, I was trying
They
to
didn't know,
see like,
like,
so it's not just Spotify, I just had to look at like the Spotify launcher.
Or like that.
Oh, launch
app.
But
And
I was like,
there
oh, wow, they
I
got
was
this
just one that is a taste.
special
You know,
Spotify.
you gotta let it follow it. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Never really works.
That, no, that piece.
I mean,
That's-
actually, how would I, Oh, no, actually, I think I have.
So this,
I think mine came with the Spotify, but well, see.
if you did block.
I did.
Oh, but you were clocking, yeah.
I should clock out.
Oh,
Yeah, you should clock.
We probably should.
No, I won't, I'll just.
Hey,
like-
that's up to
I'll
you,
just write-
that's up to you.
He uses Arch.
I use ours, I know that.
Yeah, look at me, I'm.
This guy uses Linux.
Yeah.
I don't use Debian.
Or it looks like that.
But did it work? Were you guys like trying to debug something or?
It works.
Yeah, we had
Error?
some trip ups, some
Oh.
little things, because it can never be that easy.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Mm.
Well, this
It's-
is no,
it's-
but
Yeah, it's nice, yeah. I just,
I don't know, I just needed something for school immediately.
well,
So,
I mean,
I don't know.
I bought this ThinkPad, like,
yeah, it's a great.
I know it's the
Coolest.
yeah, it's the, I look up what ThinkPad should I get, T480.
Everyone says.
Everyone says T480, so
Also
like,
here,
What up?
I'm sure you've noticed, but they Gen Z Chronos.
I know, it looks better now. It looks way better.
They're gonna rename it to Timely.
I don't like that. Saying that Gen Z gets kind of crazy, but I understand it.
It's like bubble, it's like circular buttons, you know.
Circular buttons.
Like, what's that one start of Cluey?
I'm not sure, I'm not sure.
No, because you might have to use it, yeah. So just keep it on.
Mhm.
But if they want to control that.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
You're not using the.
चार जाने
This is
चार जाने
Asian. Here's-
वरना